Beleza. Deixa eu ajeitar aqui. Vamos continuar.
He's a proper gentleman, that man. His name is Zulf.
Zulf.
No hiding he's an Ura. Folks like him ain't never been a common sight in Caelondia. He's relieved to see a living face or two. The kid and I introduce ourselves in kind. Both to him and to each other. For the first time. We fought the Ura decades ago, but that was then. Things are different between us now. For Zulf, Caelondia was like a second home. He's real worried about his first home, too. Far to the east. We all lost loved ones in the calamity, he says. I don't know how I'm gonna go on without mine. Zulf offers to help me plot the skyways for the kid. At least the calamity hasn't touched the stars, he says.
Okay.
He was born in the Tazal terminals. The Ura sent him on a mission of peace to our city, and he's lived here ever since.
Ah, é. Esqueci disso aqui.
Of course. They remember. That's why this place is coming together. That's why things are gonna be alright. Well, look what we have here. Champagne's made with scumbag extract, hence the barley aroma and the nausea. We tracked down a couple more cores near the edge of the city.
Cadê? Aqui.
The gods, they're all undone. Pith Orchard. The place is a dead end in more ways than one. Folks used to make pilgrimage here to pay their respects to Pith, the bull. Well, the gods are long gone now, and the Orchard core is long gone too.
Ah, tá. Aqui Ah, é só fazer que a gente pega o core e volta.
Something real. In time, though, the bull stopped being a symbol and started being decoration. Pith makes a decent scarecrow, at least. Then Pith lights up like a rodeo. Must have been guarding that shrine. So what'll it be? Invoke the gods? Or tell them off? Akobi, Pith, Lemaine, Garmouth, Rothus. Kid decides to press his luck. Kid ain't about to sacrifice himself for the likes of Pith. Well, if the gods are alive, they must be plenty sore.
Melhor não, cara.
Hensa,
A quantidade de dano que eles causam.
Udrig. Popping windbags is hard enough. The gods can make it even harder. The gods ain't gonna catch you if you fall.
Whoopsie.
The gods don't care about trinkets, but the kid ain't no god. Kid ain't found a core, but at least he found Zolf's precious shrine.
Aqui não tem core nessa fase.
Zolf doesn't touch the thing. Says the god of commotion is no children's toy. The Ura feared the gods. We turned them into toys, put their faces on our walls.
Tentar fazer esse trial aqui.
The accused always got a fair shake in Zealandia. Some used to take the bullhead trial. Survive the trial without taking a scratch, you'd walk away a free man. Court is back in session for the kid.
Por que eu tive a ideia de vir aqui
Old
mesmo?
ritual for when folks believed there was this godlike bull watching over them. Had to make do with nothing but a shield.
Ah, cara, na moral. Que essa porra não é? Cara, esse desafio aqui é chato pra caralho, velho. Tem que ficar dando parry. Não é pra porra.
There's only one way to Cinder Brick Fort. The hard way.
That's what she said.
Sure, the city marshals may be gone, but now the fort's crawling with windbags. The calamity was mercy for normal folks. The windbags ain't so lucky. They've been left to freeze, or starve, or face the kid. Well, windbags young and old keep fighting for the fort. At least the marshals left the kid a parting gift. Something the windbags just can't handle. Something that'll punch clean through their greasy hides.
Agora eu fiquei com duas armas de longo alcance.
Windbags ain't much different from normal folks. All they want's a warm place to stay and a decent meal. The calamity drove the windbags topside. A lot of them wound up here in this very fort. Could have been minding the business underground like in the old days. Windbags can't use the marshal supplies, but the kid sure can. He stashes the marshal's prize. Goes back to something more his style. As for the windbags, Cinder Brick gave them enough heat and metal to munch on for a while. Well, the fort ain't theirs by right. Can't blame them for wanting though. So many of those sorry things hold up inside that old fort. Times like this, kids glad he packed trip lines. Security's plane gone haywire. Windbags gummed up the works. Kid ain't afraid of getting burned. They trapped the kid in the middle of the fort's parade grounds. The uncles go after the whimper. Then they bring out Glutus and Glandon and all their scumbag uncles. They got something to gain, and only their sorry hides to lose. The windbags finally get the message. The Skyway's a welcome sight after all that. And now ain't nothing left for nobody down at Cinderbrick Fort.
Isso foi... Eu acho que eu não deveria ter... Acho que eu vou trocar de volta, de tirar esse mosquete e colocar a carabina... Tirar a carabina e colocar o mosquete.
Kid shows up just as Zolf's telling me about his own journey to the city. Seems the only thing the Calamity saved for Zolf was his smoking pipe. Zolf brought his antique smoking pipe all the way from the terminals. Zolf's travels ain't much compared to what the kids had to go through for all this. The memorial. Here, a kid can pay respect to the old world and earn it in kind. The valediction. Just another one of my sketches. Nothing more. The breakers. Ain't no one can outrun them. Or their arrows. The inspiration. A forge can fashion anything.
Troféu. Embora lá. Ah, essa aqui é tudo trial, saco. Agora bora ver aqui. Bora fazer essa fase aqui.
The Langston River flowed free and wild.
Ah, e eu não troquei, eu não passei no negócio pra trocar a arma.
Maybe all that water just grew wings and flew off. Riverbank swarming with windbags. They're so bent on finding the core, they hardly notice the kid. Lucky for him, a certain famous ferry barge is still afloat. She sent some squirts crying home as she Maybe Nellie knows the way to the core. Maybe she can slip right past all the clamor on the coast. Or maybe not. A security skiff pulls up portside. Nellie's just another windbag to those guns. Just then, the windbags notice who she's sailing with. They try to cut her off. They try to slow her down. They try to knock her out. Well, Weepin' Nellie tries harder.
Os passarinhos são chatos pra caramba.
Kids gotta help her get untangled. Favors for favors. At least she picked a good spot for a break. Cause the core's right there.
Aqui, arsenal. Peraí. Vou tirar essa mina aqui porque... Honestamente, ela não é muito boa.
Then the kid hears an unusual sound, like 100 flapping wings. Hackers. They've been watching his every move. They had their own eyes on the core. But why? Well, kid ain't got time to think it over just yet. He finds Weeping Nellie ready to go. Turns out she's got a special surprise for when the waters get rough.
Bora.
She's gonna need a little help with all them peckers. Traffic things think they're king of the roost now. Rest of us only wish we could fly in times like these.
Bang, bang.
Security skiffs keep on coming to starboard side. Don't seem to care what they shoot, as long as they hit something. The windbag's getting an even better idea. Kid boards one of them skiffs like some kind of St. London privateer. They aim to smash Weeping Nellie to splinters. Well, it all proves too much for poor Nellie. She's just gotta make one last stop.
Última parada.
With the
Fodons.
last breath, Nellie gets the kid to solid ground. Solid ground in this Hecker country. They want that core real bad. Kid shoos them off, knowing they'll be back. Know how many times kid nearly fell off the barge back there? A good couple of times. Now, listen close. You should remember this next part.
Próxima parte aqui, vamos lá. Pickers são uma espécie agressiva de pássaro que agora tem uma um complexo de superioridade pós
Why go to Prosper
calamidade.
Bluff? Used to take an enterprise in hand, or plain old fool to venture out that far. The city was the most beautiful place in the world. We all knew that. But on the other hand, some folks just yearn to see the things they're told they can't. And that's why you go to Prosper Bluff, ain't it?
Vamos lá, matador de passarinho.
There the kid hears something he ain't heard in a long while. How's it go again? That's the one. Timeless. explaining what happens next, right? Suffice it to say, kid ain't coming home empty-handed. And besides, it's like the song goes.
I dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build.
They'll be here before too long.
A criatura concordou em voltar para o Sebastião, digo, Bastion.
We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow Ura again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it either. If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away. A scientific journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much. Most of the Ura never got a taste of Caelondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Zia here. Sure, the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see, but leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. So many secrets in there, and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal.
Diário do Pardal.
We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds.
Wild Outskirts.
The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Know what's
Wow.
better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Savage things lurking at every turn. Techers got the core up, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. They shouldn't have let the guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survive the Calamity. Same goes for the kid. Best take it real slow when pincushions are afoot. Don't ever turn your back on a pincushion. A handful of windbag shipments made it out this far. Kid's roused up half the wild by now. Then Kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. Hit him anywhere but the hindquarters and you only make him mad. The Calamity must have scrambled their eggs. Hardly any signs of the old Jawson camp.
Ok.
The Wild's already reclaimed this place. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well,
Eu
no,
lembrava dessa
it ain't.
fase ser mais
not by
longa
a long
ou...
shot.
Ou... Caramba, ou tô lembrando da fase errada.
Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The Calamity failed, he says. But I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped. Started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. Can't be too careful these days.
Cadê?
Anything gets past that cannon, those pistols can finish it quick. The city brought the shards to the Wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back.
Ah, tá. Eu confundi a fase anterior com essa aqui. Eu acho. Eu acho, não tenho certeza.
After Zolf's little episode, kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back.
He said fuck it.
Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating.
Intoxicated.
Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good, for all I know. Wherever he is, somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. There,
a
welcoming
sighting.
him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf.
Surrender.
Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Aqui
Now
é
the
o...
kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gaiters. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. The security's just straight. He has the nerve to flash the shield he stole. He's a petty thief. Kid succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose
Okay,
whole
so here-
world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of If, the bull. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend.
Eita!
His friend. He's come undone too.
Morreu!
He sees what's left undone.
Ok. Dom, 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 dom. Cara, eu tinha esquecido um monte de coisa porque faz muito,
Near lost my
muito
train of
tempo
thought just thinking about that place.
desde a última vez que eu joguei Bastion.
The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Ever heard of the lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. Well, a kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it.
Eu literalmente esqueci como... Como se joga o jogo, cara, direito.
A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. Toughest thing about using that gas can is keeping a grip on it. Taught him an old trick from a galleon gunner I once knew. He ain't all that shy. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan.
Ok, vamos lá. Rhodos Lagoon. Ah, tá. Essa era a fase que eu tava confundindo com uma fase anterior. Ou pela terceira vez eu totalmente esqueci a respeito do que eu tô jogando.
Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. kinds of beasts what don't know up from down, still lurking about. These beasts, they don't like company.
Cara, mano, bicho pra puta que pariu. Tudo bem, eu...
The city's brushers knew their way around the lagoon, and they struck hard. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? The stinkweed. Ain't time for pecker hunting, but the kid can't resist. Bad idea to walk in gator grass. Brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Those pin cushions been living off the ankle gator scraps. Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and it's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. That old gator's right on his tail. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding.
Tem um lá, tirando.
Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? They use a kid as bait. The shard's sitting in plain view. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She's starting to get annoyed. And now he's made her mad. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushers.
O que que tem aqui em cima? Ah, não, aqui, ó. Isso aqui era lá atrás. Whoopsie.
Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it.
Ah, e o Osworth é porque não foi você que foi lá, o seu velho babaca.
That Gator's a crazy gal. But so is the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve.
Ah,
Doomshine's a bit of an acquired taste. Like a mouthful of horseradish.
isso aqui é basicamente...
The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds.
Cara, eu esqueci. Eu já tenho todos esses upgrades porque
Know how Ceylon
isso aqui
became
é
the
New
richest
Game
city in the
Plus.
world. 2 words. Point Lemaine.
Deixa eu ver que negócio são isso aqui, né?
If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The Army's triggers once had the place on lockdown.
Agora tem uma carabina.
They left off. Blam. Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The Grand Rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks.
Só por ver as dúvidas.
Grand Rail's all grown over with things the Calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers, coughing fungus everywhere.
Ui! Achei que fosse alguma coisa importante, não. É só um frasco de life. Ah, para, velho.
The place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. Of course, the Grand Rails seen much more fighting in bygone times. The Ura-Ceylondian War, 50 years ago, doomed to happen again. It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad.
Subindo.
The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into swamp weed central.
Ah, depois eu tenho que ver isso aqui. Pegar as recompensas.
Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While shooting a genuine registered army carbine? While choking on swamp weed? Peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. Then, at last, it's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower, pincushion might hit. At first, he thinks it's Zolf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham.
This is for you, says the
When
man.
the kid comes to, the man's long gone. But something else is there. The only words Kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. The Triggers, my brothers, bravest men I ever knew. The Mancers, they knew everything, even if it cost them.
Okay.
Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get.
But we take what you can get.
The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the Calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zolf. Zolf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zolf told him. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head.
Aye, aye. Who knows where?
I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. The mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's Mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs.
Ah, ok. Isso aqui tá dando um...
At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ur trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. Her to take him to a family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. But the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls.
Faltam 5 reflexões.
The young man had sent the authorities a tip. Told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals. She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free. Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in.
Cacete!
Dig my hole, you build a wall. I dig my hole, you build a wall.
She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand.
Come build that city on a hill. Come build that city on a hill.
The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her.
Olha só, consegui terminar um desses negócios. Who knows where?
When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. Never could ask for a song. The shards are getting harder to find.
Comfort Cauldron.
Not everything blew up in the calamity.
Nem tudo explodiu na calamidade.
Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning
boy,
led
let's
to some
go.
interesting inventions.
Burn!
The raw power of the world fell right into our hands.
Burn, motherfucker!
Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. Taste the air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. The place is inhospitable as they come.
Die!
But still we pressed on. After all, when we looked down inside Culford Cauldron, looked down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world. The heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Johnson Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him.
Yeah.
Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. But where there's one stink eye, there's always more. Well, it ain't polite to stare.
Queimando tudo. Queima, queima.
The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. Best to keep out of the cauldron. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out.
Foi.
There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. The shard works like a charm. You can can hear the monument's heartbeat again.
You can hear the monument's heartbeat again.
We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances.
Isso aqui é o quê?
Finders keepers. The culture, a still life of old unwanted keepsakes. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? Even since the Ura surrendered to us, the marshals kept a wary eye on him. Good thing I didn't throw away the manual. Now that's what I call a knife.
Deixa eu ver o que eu preciso. Faltar 2 aqui. E 3.
Wouldn't want to be in the receiving end
Outros
of
2
those.
aqui. Aí. Vamos lá. Aqui falta. Ah, bem, aqui
That
tem
thing wasn't always meant to be a weapon, but there's no denying it now.
Aqui 2. Outros 2 aqui.
We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zan. Can't rightly call Mount Zan a
Please,
mountain
no,
anymore.
no.
There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. but they ain't yet prepared for any company. They even dragged their children into this. Without a doubt, the situation stinks. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. There's only one kind of mercy left these days. It's a delicate situation. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our Bastion is everybody's game, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have.
Whoopsie!
Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. He's done what's best for him.
Cara,
Don't you worry.
sorte que, tipo,
Don't you
one
worry.
chance, extra chance aí.
We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. Fixed that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. The arsenal's complete, in case we need protection. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes burstone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. Same goes for its natives, rattletails. Why would the Ura put up with those pests? Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nesting in those rocks.
What?
But there was even more to it than that. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Without those windbags, the quarry might not have its special qualities. Even stink eyes started taking root in here. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. It might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news. On top of that, you know the Ura hated anything above ground. Might be the quarry just got too much sunshine for their liking. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. Single core could keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. Shard's got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry?
Ok.
That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive things stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. Are you all right? It says. It's him.
Zura.
I've come to warn you, he says. The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back. Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. If that's the way it is, he says, then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will. The next part's hard to talk about, no matter how many times I try.
É, babaca.
Say what you will about Zolf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. Zolf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. See, the Bastion's no mere safe haven. Big surprise, right? Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their holes. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away this place. We tried to stop it, but we needed help. Baby pecker, he don't make it. Our little squirt, he don't make it. No way out of this, not without a fight. Somehow, some way, he sends those who are attacking. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zolf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the Calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. Now all we need is one last shard. The sanctuary. If we can build, we can rebuild. The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. One last shard. It's all we need to put this mess behind us. And mother, what a mess it is. A mess like that could have only been made by hand. Zulf said the Calamity failed, and he's right. The Ura stands living proof of that. Solutions far beyond the city. We traveled near as far as the kid's going right now. Most of our efforts didn't bear fruit. Then there was a breakthrough, but it didn't come from one of our people. It came from an Ura, a brilliant young scientist named Ven. Ven worked for the Mancers, the sharpest knives in the city's drawer. With his help, the Mancers devised a way to seal the Ura tunnel shut in a flash. Just like that, every last Ura living in the Tassel terminals will be gone. This discovery was never to be used, they said, except as a last resort.
Shit. But Ven didn't like being manipulated. He had plans of his own. He sabotaged the Mancer's little science project, set it to blow up in their faces.
must have fell when they finally made him pull that trigger. But remember, the Bastion can fix everything. We just need that shard. We're lucky to be alive. It's too bad the Ura ain't exactly been willing to collaborate on that front. Feels like I told this part 1,000 times. First things first, though. There's someone we figured needed rescuing. Zia.
Estamos quase terminando.
The Ura fell back, no doubt planning the next move, but we knew ours already. It wasn't fixed, it was unbroken. Take my word for it. Don't ever drop one of those. There's something we had to do before going after that last shard.
Antes de... Eu vou ver se tem negócio aqui.
Welcome to Grady Incinerator, home of the hottest wings east of Caelandia. In all seriousness, the incinerator was a dump, and it had a problem with peckers. Blasted things would swoop in and spread trash all around, until we started using fire. We couldn't just torch them all at once. We had to use restraint. Keeping the incinerator clean was a paying job, but not a pleasant one.
Pensei que ia dar alguma coisa relacionada à arma, mas não. Something Fall, Something Sharp. E eu já tenho os upgrades todos dessas armas, então...
You'd almost think those peckers like getting cooked. part's personal, ain't it? It's personal for him, and it's personal for me. We'll get straight down to business. He gets his hands on the care package I sent him.
Sorry.
Found a way to keep the calamity from spreading through Sultan's Hollow. They got their own security and everything. Pretty fancy. Still, they ain't used to having visitors around. They've got these conductors that are all what's keeping the place together. Break enough of those things and the calamity rocks slink back into the ground. Those rocks are like tumors, the same kind the Ura planted in the Bastion. Well, the Ura must be in a panic right about now. They even sick their little rattletail pets on the kid. Those rodents are just a bump in the road. Picking the whole place apart, piece by piece. By now, every Ura from here to the terminals must know he's in town. The Ura keep hanging on to their barricade. After all, their homeland's not much farther. They're easy targets. Those calamity rocks must be eating that place apart from the inside. Some of them are downright bewildered by what's happening. Maybe they know they've lost this, lost happens to a kid. They underestimated us. Had us pegged all wrong. Yes, our people caused the calamity, but here we are trying to fix it. Shame the opportunity for civilized discourse is over. Suppose old Zol should have got to know us better. Maybe I should have trusted him. Told him everything I knew. Zolf, the Ura, they have every reason to be angry. Beyond angry. As the hour grows desperate, the Ura bring out their big guns. It's not the time to get reckless. He sees the Tassel terminals loom large on the horizon. There's nothing standing in his way no more.
Caraca, mano. Eu tava tão focado que eu esqueci de falar.
But when this is all over, it'll all be water under the bridge. Way out there on the edge of the world, that's where he finally finds you. But it ain't like Prosper Blood this time. Ain't nothing for this gal to sing about now.
Cara, eu literalmente esqueci.
You weren't kidnapped. No, ma'am. You just had to see what happened to the Ura.
Eu literalmente esqueci. Eu tava tão focado no que tava acontecendo que eu esqueci de falar.
You had to see if everything Zolf wrote to you was true. Looks like a little science project is all set. The Armada sure could have used one of these back in the day. I don't need to see what happened to the Ura. I'm trying to undo it, remember? They lost everything, didn't they? But they just keep on fighting like that's gonna bring it all back. The cinders kept the city good and warm, made it thrive. Once the kid gets that last shard from Zolf, it'll all be over.
Oh boy, agora é. Are you ready? Ready, porra. Pô, eu peguei o save. Peguei esse save que eu comecei aqui agora. Tipo, tava na metade do jogo, eu acho. Não, um pouco antes.
I can't hear
Eu tinha
him at
começado
all
já
anymore.
ontem.
He's too far away.
Porque tipo, se eu
He'll be
rushar o
alright.
jogo. Se...
Just needs to get that shard from Zolf and come on home. The Calamity hit the Tazzle terminals hardest of all. You know why Zolf went back there. The place was his home. All his old friends and family were there. Zolf must be there all alone, just waiting. You know what's funny? Well, look around. There's not much left to do here in the Bastion, I'm afraid. So why not tell each other stories to pass the time, right? But Zia, there's another reason I've been telling you all this. There's something I want you to understand. When the kid brings back that shard, the Bastion will be complete.
Porra, por que eu...
Zealandia will be whole again. Everything will be back to normal. Everyone will be all right. Problem is, we'll all be gone.
Vai todo mundo sumir. Porque, se não me engano, eu acho que eu lembro que eu terminei esse jogo em
Oh, we're not gonna
New Game
die.
Plus.
It's more like all of this will just stop.
Desculpa aí, gente.
Things will go back to the way they used to be. This whole place is a living record of the times before the Calamity. You be your old self again. Think of all those times that didn't go your way. All of life's little setbacks. Imagine if you could have another go at them. No mistakes.
Aqui, vamos lá.
Anyone you've ever hurt. Everything you've ever done, you could do it over. And wouldn't that be grand? Wouldn't you agree? Well, I guess there's nothing more to say. Come on, keep your chin up. Who am I kidding? Look. There's something else. A confession. How come I know so much about Bastion?
Bem, eu criei.
Well, I designed the place, but that's beside the point. There's one problem with a place that sets things back to a bygone time. You can't test it.
Oops.
So you're probably wondering if the calamity happened already. What's to stop it from happening again after the Bastion does its thing?
Ai, cacete. Tem botão X pra pular,
The
cara.
answer is... I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Ai. Estamos já no final do jogo, eu acho.
You're wondering if there ain't some other way out of this mess. It's all right. I can tell. But why would you even want another way? Unless you wanted to stay here with us. Well, that's sweet and all, but I don't know if I can stick around. The weight of the calamity, it's on our shoulders. We can't just let it go. Bastion does have another function, strictly speaking.
Ah, tá aqui, eu não posso fazer nada. Eu tenho que avançar com isso aqui.
If ever the monument blew out and we couldn't repair it, we could still evacuate. First, we'd round up as many folks as we could carry. Next, we'd detonate the cores, and we'd take off away from here.
Desculpa. Essa arma, aliás, ele é bem idiota, cara. Esse trecho do jogo, na minha opinião, ele é idiota. Tipo, você acompanha, você passa o jogo todo com... baseado basicamente na agilidade. Agora você tem essa arma aqui, mas que é lenta as fuck.
You know Zolf and his countrymen won't be giving up that shard without a fight, don't you?
Sorry.
Zolf and the Ura, all they want now is to see the Bastion fall. Zolf dedicated his life to a lasting peace between the Ura and Zealandia. He can't have imagined the city would try to wipe the Ura out. lost every shred of decency, though, has he? He tried to warn you about his plans. He tried to warn the kid. Zolf, this ain't a personal matter.
Sorry.
I can see it now. The kid in one corner, and Zolf in the other. Ain't much of a fight. Don't you worry, though. Once the Bastion's restored, it'll all be alright. Although, after talking it over like this, guess I'm beginning to have my doubts.
Música aí de depresso. Mano, que lento. Caralho, o cara me ajudou. Caralho, pá. Pá. Don't mind me. I'm taking out the trash.
It reminds me of myself when I was his age. I ever tell you about those days?
I'm just taking out the trash. É, o pior é que todas as vezes que eu terminei o jogo, eu fiz sempre o mesmo final. Eu sei que se eu fizer o outro final eu vou ganhar um troféu, mas eu tô cagando pra troféu.
Get up, kid.
Get up, kid.
Come on, that ain't funny. I said get up. That's more like it. Now, set that shard into the monument there. Then we'll talk. The Bastion. It's finally finished.
O Bastião finalmente terminou.
Now, there's something I want you to see.
É algo que eu quero que você veja. Aliás, é aqui que é a escolha de final.
To the heart of the Bastion. I ain't one for long goodbyes, so here's the deal. Zia and I figure you done the heavy lifting, so you get to do the honors. We can tell you how to work this thing if you got any questions.
You made it. When I finally found my people, I told them we could help. They just took me for a traitor. Glad you showed up. So, let's see. You can either prevent the calamity, or stick around with me and Rex. I'd hate to be in your shoes. If I could be any place I wanted, I'd stay right here. We could go anywhere in the world. Zulf tried to talk me into joining him. I tried to talk him out of it. I guess we both failed.
Yes, we both failed.
Good to see you. You can undo the calamity here and now. Go on, kid.
And before I forget, thank you.
Thank you.
Cara, eu tinha esquecido monte de coisa.
What the motherland was like. Not that it matters anymore. You've got one thing left to do, so you hang on to that badge. Besides, you earned it. Don't let anything you've done get to you. You can save all those creatures here and now. Zulf only brought more ruin to the Ura. No wonder they didn't take kindly to him.
Evacuation e Restoration. E obviamente, como eu sou uma pessoa previsível, eu escolho o mesmo final que eu escolhi da outra vez que eu joguei.
Oh, mother. And here I figured you'd had enough of me by now. You could have undone the calamity itself. But instead you want to stay. In a world like this. I gotta admit, kid, I ain't yet put much thought in that idea. But carrying on with you here. We can't go back no more. But I suppose we could go wherever we please. And if anyone's left out there, I sure would like to see the look on their faces when we dock this thing right on that doorstep. Getting ahead of myself, though. I'm gonna need a first mate. What do you say?
Se eu não me engano, eu acho que enfim, esse aí foi Bastion. Cara, acho que eu tenho acho que uns 2 anos desde a última vez que eu tinha terminado esse jogo. Eu zerei umas 3 vezes ele, 3, 4, 5 vezes lá em 2019. E é isso. Por exemplo, o outro jogo da Supergiant, que é o Transistor, eu não tenho. E o Hades eu também não tenho porque ele não saiu ainda para PS4. E não tenho tanto interesse porque por razões de roguelike. Eita, meu PC travando aí. PC travando que é uma beleza. Vou abrir aqui o meu TXT. Eu vou abrir aqui o meu TXT pra botar, pra fazer aqui as anotações e saber o quanto próximo de 100 jogos terminados esse ano eu tô. digo isso na contagem regressiva, já estamos no jogo número 73, faltam 27 para os 100. E é isso, eu vou ficando por aqui. Obrigado a quem assistiu e até a próxima. Fui!